Moi everyone and welcome to Finish Your Plate. Salmon soup, of course, is one of the most traditional dishes in Finland. But there's no reason why you can have a little fun with it, change it up a little bit. So I have here a couple of different examples what you could do with your salmon soup. I have a smoked salmon soup here, more Finnish style, but I also have a smoked salmon soup ramen dish. So join me and I'll show you how to make these. So like all soups, the salmon soup starts with the broth. So I'm going to make a broth here. I have here some hot water. I'm just going to add a couple onions, big pieces, because what we're going to do is we're going to strain them out when it's done. So I'm just going to add a little salt from here. This is celeriac or celery root. And I have carrots and parsnip, just cubed. And then I'm gonna add some bay leaves, some allspice berries, and some whole peppercorns. So I have here also, this is a smoked tuna sauce that I got from the Asian store. If you're having trouble finding smoked tuna sauce, you could also put in any kind of smoked fish in there. So at this point, we're just putting in the flavorings. Again, all the solids are gonna get strained out and we're gonna add some of these back later on because right now, everything's gonna turn into mush if we use them. So I'm gonna put in some of this smoked tuna sauce. And now we're just gonna let this come to a boil and let this cook for about 45 minutes to an hour. If you could get high quality fish stock, by all means use that as well. Now our soup base has been cooking for about 45 minutes on rolling boil. So I'm just going to move it over here. And this is the pot I'm actually going to make the soup in. Okay. So now we're just going to ladle in the broth and strain it as we go. There we go. And I have here some small potatoes. Just going to cut these in half. In Finland, it's common to use potatoes unpeeled. So I'm not going to peel these either. I'm just going to cut them in two. And then I'm going to put them in the broth to cook. This is the part now where it's great to customize your soup. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this very heavy on potato. Obviously put some smoked salmon in it. Now I'm actually not going to put any of the other vegetables in because they were already in there, so I don't need to, except for the leek, which I'm going to add at the very end. For the salmon itself, I have here some hot smoked salmon fillet. This is already cooked, so it really does not need to go in the broth for a long time. Basically, just warm it up. Since it has the skin on, I'm just going to remove the skin quickly. There we go. And cut it into roughly bite-sized pieces. If you want more fish flavor, the Asian stores usually have all kinds of fish sauces, which actually work pretty well with salmon soup. By no means traditional, but it'll still work. It'll give you that fishy taste that you may be looking for in your salmon soup. So I'm just going to add a little leek. And what would salmon soup be without some cream, and butter. There we go. And of course, what would salmon soup be without salmon? So let's put the smoked salmon. This is hot smoked salmon. Not forgetting, of course, a bunch of fresh dill. We're just going to let this come to a boil one more time, and then it's ready to be served. I went to Sable's in New York City and got some gravlax. So this works great in the soup as well. So I'm going to just take a couple slices and use that as a garnish. And I believe it is illegal to serve salmon soup in Finland without some rye bread. So here's some rye bread and some smoked salmon soup. Now let's make a ramen version of the smoked salmon soup. I'll ladle in some of our hot stock that we made, leaving pretty much all the vegetables behind. Just getting the clear liquid. Now that the broth is coming up to temperature, I'm just going to add cream. And butter. Now when it's still cooking, I'm just going to add chopped leeks. Of course, instead of leeks, you could also use green onions, for example. In your ramen bowl, pour in the cooked and drained ramen noodles. In your cooked and drained ramen noodles, ladle in some of the broth. With leeks, add the two types of smoked salmon, plenty of dill, and a couple of pieces of nori. And also as a garnish, couple pieces of carrot and parsnip. Finnish smoked salmon soup ramen bowl. And here we go. Two very different versions of the Finnish salmon soup. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on Finish a Plate.